Hi, I'm Eric Thalker. This is part 3 of our MMM API series, and in this series, or this portion of it, we are going to show you how to make a .NET Core Web API. So let's get to that. So here I got Visual Studio open, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project. So we're going to go File, New Project, and then we're going to be in the Visual Visual C# section, also known as a C#, and then we're going to go .NET Core Web Application. We're going to name it. We'll name it NMM, and we'll just keep it in the default. And we'll click OK. It's going to do some stuff for us, and then we're going to be at this screen. We're going to click the API section. This will just enable get some automatic code generation up for us. So that way it keeps it easy for us. And then what we are going to do is now we have our standard API. So right out of the box, this would work. If we were to, I'll give you a quick overview of what's going on here. So we're just going to open up some of these files. So here's the startup. I guess we'll start with the program. So the program, what's happening is this is the first thing to be executed, and we're creating a web host, and then those settings are configured in the startup. So this is the startup page here, and this is some generic .NET Core code. We could configure any services we want to do. I'll let you read up on those on your own if you're more interested in them. And then you can also configure different portions, like adding logging or just whatever settings you need to in the configure section. If we were to look at our first controller, we got the values controller. This one's automatically created. Doesn't really do a lot right now, but it's a great test for things. And so what's going to happen here is we're going to visit this controller. It's got this route, which is API/controller. And so what it'll do is it'll just take the controller name. So here it'll take values. So if we were to go to API/values, then we would go to this controller. And most times when you first visit a controller, you're just assuming it's a GET request. So this will be the first portion of this that we will hit. And so as you see, what it'll do is it'll return a new string array, which will have value1 and value2 in it. So just to double check that we're going to be hitting this controller first, we're going to go to our properties, then launch settings, and in here we're gonna start with the IIS express, which is up here. You'll see that, and then we see that our launch URL is going to be API values. So when I click this button, we're going to start running the program. So I'm going to click that. And then it's going to do some building, and then this is opening up in debugging. So let's see what we get here. So there we go. So opened up, and you can see we are at localhost 44300, which is our Visual Studio. Says right here is our SSL port. So this is the port that we're directing it to. So going back to the page here, and then our starting URL is API/values. So we got our localhost with our port number going to API/values, and as you can see, we're returning value1 and value2, which is exactly what we expected. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stop debugging up here. We're going to click that little stop button, and then we're going to create our own controller. So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to right click on this controller folder, going to click add controller, we're going to create an API controller, and we're going to name it NMM count. Why not? We're going to click add, and then it will generate some of that pre-built boilerplate code for it. Okay, so now we have it built. It's automatically using some system dependencies. As you can see, we don't even need most of them. We'll keep them there for now. Currently, it's routing to API controller. So as you can see, it's going to go to API. And then if we go to NMM count, API/NMM count, then we would get to this controller. We're actually going to change this to MNM just to make it easier on us. Save that. And then now within the controller, what we're going to do is we're going to create a GET request. So we'll give it a route. So we're going to do GET API NMM. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give it an HTTP GET. And then we're going to create a public action result. And then we'll return an integer here. So we'll do an int. And then we're gonna do a get. And there's our action. So now we have to decide what we want to do within our action. So likely we want to return a count. We'll review like how we hit that or set that up to get it to iterate later. But however, if we just want to set up our controller to get it to return a value, we're going to try that now. So we're just going to do a try, because we always want to have error handling around our stuff. Try catch, and catch exception. Nice. And then in our try block, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a variable, say y, and we're going to set it equal to 1. And actually we'll set it equal to 0. And then let's say that maybe we want our variable to iterate by 1. So let's just add 1 to it. Let's equals 1. And so now we've iterated, or now we've added to it, to our variable, and then we're just going to return an OK request. This is a pre-built thing. Basically what it's doing is it is returning a 200 status code, as you can see on the thing that pops up there, and then it's also returning an object. So that's kind of cool. So we can return this integer, or really any object that we wanted along with it. If this were to error out for any reason, we want to catch it. So we'll just return. Sorry, we're going to return that. Okay. So if we had an exception, we want to return a status code 500, which means internal server error, and we'll return the message with it. Okay. So now let's try it. So let's click. Let's play this. And then now we're going to get our page open over here. As you can see, we automatically directed API values because that was the opening page. And what we're going to do is we're just going to replace that with the word values with MNM. So now we're going to localhost 44300/API/NMM. So I'm going to click that, and you see we return 1. If we were to inspect the page and then go to network and then refresh this page, we would see we got a 200 from our status there. This is just you can ignore that because that's just like trying to that's just an icon for the page up here, so I can't find it. However, that's the main thing, is we hit that 1. So that's how you make a web API, or basic controller for web API. And yeah, join us in part 4.